Yeah. So what did you think about that call we had today? Oh, dude, your microphone's doing it again.
Yeah, it's
There it goes. Now it's back.
back. Yeah, I don't know what's
Yeah.
going on with that. Sorry.
Huh.
So you can ask me again. What did I think of that call? It was the third
Well, first
time.
of all, let me say this Hawaiian shirt is fully unbuttoned, and you are not going to tell me to button it higher.
Hey, don't paint me as the prude that wants you to button up your shirt all the way. That's not my game. I'm not playing that game.
Oh man. All right. Well, no, man, we got off a call with chainraise.io. This is a company that basically provides like end-to-end technology to allow you to tokenize assets, man. Like we were both just saying before this, like seriously, this is just like this new frontier it's exciting to say the least. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I mean, I spent the next hour after that call, like researching this and like requesting demos on all these different sites. The thing that I really liked about it, what I've been trying to figure out in real estate, there's really three components that we're trying to tokenize, right? Like a lot of times we just say tokenization, we just mean like ownership, but we can tokenize the equity, we can tokenize the ownership, we can tokenize the debt. And I'm sure there's a way to tokenize the cash flow, right? I mean, there's just so many options. The optionality is what's amazing about this opportunity, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what I got out of it was like it's for those, because we say real estate tokenization, and obviously we know what that means because we've been in this for a while.
Right.
But what the heck does that mean for someone who has no clue what, like, how would you describe that to someone like a 5-year-old? How would you describe that?
Well, I would say maybe a 5-year-old that understands real estate.
They need to understand real estate, and they
no, I mean like
maybe not 5. Let's go with like 15-year-old.
Okay, yeah. So I think that to me, it really is about just fractionalized ownership. It's just like if you were going in on a house with a buddy. But instead of it being like having to be like this large investment, it becomes whatever size investment you want in that property, but you can still get some benefits. It's fractionalized ownership. That's the easiest way for me to think about it, is get the benefits, have a little tiny piece of a property. You no longer have to own a gigantic amount.
Mm-hmm. The note I took was like, it's basically creating a way to buy real estate the same way we buy stocks in a company. You could buy a stock pegged to a multifamily in Dallas. You could buy stock in an industrial property somewhere in the Southeast. You could buy stock in a single family portfolio. I mean, it's like any asset, any fund, any singular asset you can tokenize, which basically creates a bunch of shares that can be bought and sold. Yep.
Yeah, agreed.
Fascinating stuff. He was giving out some, I just took these as like, let's just say benefits of tokenization. And here's how I put this.
Love that screen, man.
Thank you. First, he had increased liquidity.
Yep.
So basically, like, instead of having one or two owners or, a syndication of owners, you can fractionalize it down to even like someone can buy $1,000 in a multifamily property. That's tough to do. We have crowdfunding that's doing this, but increased liquidity is a huge benefit.
I think one thing that to say on that is it's also about the ability to sell your shares, right? So like one of the big things that I've dealt with in my real estate market is I've got properties. If I want to sell it, all of the stars have to align, like the price, everything has to align because I'm the sole owner of the property and I'm selling it. If you've got partners, everybody has to agree to sell it, right? So there's like this whole consensus that has to happen. But when you're tokenizing real estate, you no longer need that. As when you have the liquidity, that means that you can sell your sliver to whoever you want, whenever you want, as long as there's a buyer on the other side, you're taken care of, right? And that is very different. I mean, that's much more like the stocks that you're talking about, right? Like we think of that, we go into our E-Trade account, we just like buy and sell a stock, no big deal. You can't do that in real estate right now. So that's really powerful.
Yeah, I mean, you can downshift. Let's say you could park your money in real estate while everything like the stocks and the crypto markets are going crazy.
Right.
You could park your money in there for a short amount of time and then reallocate it later.
Mhm.
It's just that liquidity is such a huge advantage to this. It's massive. The second thing we talked about was simplified compliance. So we were talking about like the regulatory bodies want this, right?
Yep. Yep.
And the reason they want this is because they can control it. Because now there's a set of rules. Again, we talked about the FAA and the airplane before.
Mm-hmm.
With this process and with figuring out how to do these things, we are making it easier for the regulatory bodies to enforce compliance because it's all done on a blockchain.
Yep.
Fascinating.
I think also it's similar to, you know, what it kind of reminds me of is like when the internet first came out and like people could steal your credit cards and they could use them for whatever and you were kind of liable until the credit card companies came together and said, no, don't worry about it. We'll like take care of that. I think that's what it also is, right? It's not just that the regulatory bodies can now see into it and everybody wants to get their piece. It's also that now you can feel more comfortable getting into it because it's regulated by these other authorities and the blockchain's made that transparent. And that's, I think, the big thing with a lot of this is I feel like the adoption is going to be so much faster because now we have real world parallels with technology, with new things that like 20 years ago, nobody really understood the impact, right? So once like we get that compliance piece taken care of, I'd love to say, hey, I want to go and like tokenize my house and you know, sell like debt tokens for it. But like I have no concept of all the compliance that's necessary, right? And so being able to go to a platform that's already taking care of that piece, that's huge.
Huge. Oh man, it's huge. Third thing we talked about, more control. Like we have more control over our property, over the decisions that are made, over how we come in and out of the investment, right? It's, you want to like, let's say, for example, you've got a real estate property like you're thinking about doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you want to sell off, let's say 49% of that to get some equity in.
Yep.
It's almost like a HELOC or some other instrument, right? Like we're actually selling ownership. So it's, I don't know, that's the best analogy.
Yeah, because that's a lien.
Yeah, we'll come back to that.
Yeah,
but essentially this gives more control, the ability to move in and out of investments easier. It gives you the ability to create kind of like a menu of sources to buy from. So you can buy different types of properties all over the country, right? Again, this is a concept made already, you know, popular by crowdfunding. So there's already sites that are doing this. And really what we're doing is we're just making it easier to onboard the $1 trillion in the crypto market.
Right.
We talked about more security. I'm just going to write the rest of these. We talked about transparency. And we talked about efficiency. These are all the benefits essentially of tokenizing an asset, why we might want to do that. Anything else you want to add to this?
No, I think I was just kind of remembering what he was talking about, more like more control. Right now, it's so difficult to figure out what's happened to a property if you're going to sell it, right? And you've talked about this before, like the Carfax of real estate. But like it all fits into here because then as I do like capital expenditures on a property, I can just put it on the blockchain. It's available for anybody that wants to see it, right? So yeah, there's just a lot of amazing features you can have.
Well, and we were talking about the value add of, you know, it may not be this, because it's hard to do that on every single property, right? The individual property level, you can't necessarily enforce that. But whatever operators offer this, it's a huge value add to that particular token that they're selling, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the first thing too is really just getting the liquidity into an investment, I think is, I mean, there's all of these benefits, but to me, for real estate people, it's really about like, how do I get capital injected into my investments? And this can make it a lot easier. I thought it was interesting too. He talked a lot about the whole Reg CF, that they had changed the limit from 1 million to 5 million that could include non-accredited investors. So that was something I was really interested in looking at too.
Yep, I'm excited to see his cheat sheet. So hopefully, they'll be at the event here on the 17th. So, yeah, they were talking with Steve and I about potentially creating like a whitelist. What am I trying to say? A white labeled.
Oh, white label version.
Yeah, just a platform to buy and sell this stuff. So, anyways, it was more apparent today than it ever has been how close to the bleeding edge we really are. Like we are so early to this industry and to this market. Everyone's going to figure it out eventually. Like there's no doubt in my mind, but it's good to be early. I'll say that.
Yeah. I mean, I think he said that the company had only been around 16 months, right?
Yeah. Something like that. Which is no surprise because this is such a new idea.
Oh, 100%.
You know, what he was saying, what they're doing in Singapore and just like, you know, you and I've been buying and trading on decentralized exchanges now for quite some time.
Right.
Like, what if you could buy a token that was, you know, let's say STR or SFR, right? You could buy into a short-term rental fund. You could buy into a short single family, you know, kind of more stable asset. And these would just be tokens, coins you could buy and sell, trade on this site. It's an automated market maker. So I know a lot of these terms mean nothing to the, you know, the people who might be listening to this, but if you want to learn about any of this stuff,
that's why we're doing it.
That's what the Whale Club is, right? Like this is the only place I know of that anyone's talking like this about real estate. So if you guys want to learn more, keep watching these videos. Check out blockchainwhales.com. Thanks, Alan. I appreciate you your comments on this.
Yeah, absolutely.